This is a video response to ajprepper's Why I Prep. This is so sad. It was posted back on June 30th of this year, about 3 months ago. Over the course of these past 3 months, people have been posting some comments that were downright vicious and mean. These were not constructive criticisms, which are good, because then everybody can hash out, a particular problem and be able to make it work. That's not what this was. These are just mean. They are vindictive, and they are personal attacks on AJ. At the time that this video was recorded and posted, the power had been out in the surrounding towns for a matter of maybe an hour to two. The people in the video were not destitute. They were not starving to death. They were not in any sort of distress. They literally just could not figure out what to do with themselves in a power outage. The very first thing they thought was like a panic mode, where they just went to the next town over that may have had the resources that they were after and ravaged it. We're not talking about they just came over there and were wanting, grab some milk or something. No, they ravaged the town. They took, over the course of those days, they emptied the grocery stores. They emptied all of the stores. They emptied their gas reserves in that town because they were out. But at the time this video was shot, when she was making the comments she was making, the people had came into town and had stopped the stores from closing. Stores that should have been shut down a half an hour or so before couldn't, because of the number of people that were there. Long lines outside of the stores. These cashiers, these waitresses, the cooks, none of them could leave to go home to take care of their own families because of the actions of people from outside of their town. They couldn't go home, and they couldn't check for storm damage around their own homes, take care of possibly even leaking roofs or any of the things that needed to be taken care of in their world because of the actions of other people. Not people who were starving to death and this was the only source of food around. It was people who had been without electricity for less than an hour. And I agree with her. I think it was so sad, and in a lot of cases it was funny to see that. People were driving upwards of 40 miles to come stand in line for 2 hours to wait to be seated to eat at a restaurant that was probably just about out of everything in the place, instead of staying at home and taking care of their own homes, their own families, their own communities. Instead of staying in their own communities and going around and seeing if there were people that they could help, checking on elderly people they may know that may need help, going to friends and saying, hey, how's your roof? Do you need help? Instead of taking an active role in their own communities, in their own neighborhoods, they chose to go to a town over and ravage it like a plague of locusts. Now, the comment had been made that, well, they didn't want to open the fridge and the freezer and spoil things. Alright? My comment back to that is, you put the milk and the ranch dressing in a cooler. You invite your neighbors over and have a barbecue with what you're afraid is going to go bad. Or even have a stone soup evening, if you will. Having everyone from the neighborhood or everyone from your cul-de-sac or just the neighbors on either side of you to bring over what they have that they're afraid is going to spoil, and cook it and enjoy the time together. Enjoy the fellowship. Just enjoy each other's company. If you don't know your neighbors, this would have been the perfect time to get to know the neighbors. If you do know your neighbors, it would have been the perfect time to catch up and to be able to let the children spend time together. If none of your neighbors were around, how about just spending an evening with your children or an evening alone, you know, and just enjoying the quiet instead of having to run over to another town and be involved in that chaos. All right? I really just don't understand all the negativity that's been put towards AJ. She's really good people. And when she was making fun of or commenting on the people involved, she was in a closed-in vehicle. She wasn't standing up there. She wasn't pointing and laughing. She wasn't making any of these comments directed at these people. The people on the that are commenting on this board are making these vile comments directly to her. Can anybody say hypocrite? Thank you. Morty out.